Hey guys, what's going on? If you're new here, welcome. My name is BrittanyNichole. I have hooded eyes and I tend to do a lot of eyeshadow tutorials that suit my hooded eye boys and girls here on YouTube. But today we are doing a foundation and concealer wear test and initial thoughts video. So I saw Milani recently came out with a stick foundation. This is their Conceal and Perfect stick foundation and a new concealer. This is their Concealer and Perfect Longwear concealer. And I scooped them up as soon as I could from Milani.com, and that is what we are looking at today. So spoiler alert here, I totally forgot to film my intro. So this has been 6.5 hours wear and I think it looks pretty dang good on my skin. I do want to start out by saying what works on me might not work for you. I hated the liquid form of this, hated it, and then I liked it, and then I hated it again. So what works on me very well may not work on you. I just wanted to show you guys how this performed on my skin. So if you are interested in seeing me apply these from beginning to end and do a full 6.5 hour wear test, go ahead and keep watching. All right, so you could see my skin up close. This is what we're working with. I don't have too much going on today. I do have a little bit of redness right here that I always have. It's probably like light rosacea. When I like work out, I get super red. I did have an under the skin pimple right here about a week ago and it's still healing. So we've got that to cover. And then I'm getting a little bit of a blemish right here. So I figured this was a really good day to do this review so we can really see what the foundation and concealer cover. Typically I have like no spots, so I don't know what's going on with my body right now. I was traveling, so I think that had something to do with it. But I did want to go ahead and do this even though you could see how much tanner my body is than my face. And I'm pretty sure the foundation shade I picked up is going to be way too light for me, but we're just going to go with it. I don't want to wait any longer. This is a new foundation. I don't think a lot of people have tried it, and I want to get this out for you guys. So this is what the Conceal and Perfect foundation stick looks like. Definitely feels cheapy, but that doesn't bother me too much. I picked up the shade 220 Creamy Natural. I don't know if you can even see it swatched on my hand right now. That has a ton of spray tan coming off of it. And even though this looks like it would be a little more neutral, I feel like this pulls very pink. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that to the side for now, and we're gonna go ahead and prime. So with this order, Milani sent along a little blush and a little primer. So I'm gonna start out with the Milani Prime Perfection Face Primer. I've never used any of their primers, but I really do like Milani as a brand. I think that they stay on trend. It's not the most affordable drugstore option, but if you pick things up at like CVS and Walgreens, you can get good deals. And this is also on Ulta as well, so you can always use a $3.50 off. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this primer. Definitely has a little bit of a smell to it. That is what it looks like. Very smooth. Like, I definitely feel like this is gonna be smoothing under my foundation. It is a bit thick. It almost feels like a thick moisturizer, like my CeraVe moisturizing cream. I don't feel like it reduced my redness at all, but then again, I was just kind of, you know, rubbing my face and kind of bringing blood flow to the face, so I never can really tell with that. And I don't really feel like it reduced my pores, but it does feel nice and it feels smoothing. So hopefully foundation will go over it really well. So normally I like to leave my primer on for like 10 minutes if I can, but we're gonna go ahead and just get in it. So like I said, this is definitely gonna be light on my, as compared, it's not gonna be light on my face because you could see my face has no spray tan and it's super pale because I'm a pretty pale human being, but my neck is a lot darker. But Milani foundations typically do oxidize a little bit, which is what I'm thinking with this. So we're gonna go ahead and just try it out. Now, I am typically not a stick foundation person, so I don't even know if I should use my brush. This is just a Tarte dual-ended brush, or if I should use my Japanesque sponge. I guess we'll do half and half just to see. I did want to mention I hated their liquid Conceal and Perfect foundation. As I'm going in, I'll just kind of give you guys a backstory. It actually looks pretty nice, to be honest. So I'll do like 3 swipes to start and a dot. We'll do the sponge on this side first. So like I was saying, I didn't love their Conceal and Perfect foundation at first. But then I tried it again and I liked it maybe like 2 years later when they dropped the more light shades, because Their first shade range of dropping the foundation was way too dark, and like I said, it oxidized and it just looked way too yellow on me, so I didn't like it at all. But then I liked it, but I never found myself grabbing for it because it was such full coverage. I just didn't like it. So this does seem a lot lighter, and that blended out really easily with the sponge, and it definitely doesn't feel quite as full coverage as the actual foundation. So we're gonna wanna layer that up for sure. Get the forehead, nose, and then I'm gonna put a little more here. We're just going in for it today. Like I said, I'm not really sure how to use stick foundations, to be honest. But I am happy it's blending out nicely with this sponge. Initial thoughts, very, very lightweight and comfortable. Like, feels like I don't have anything on my face, which is really nice because the liquid foundation felt so heavy and cakey to me. Built up pretty nice around my cheeks. I'm gonna scoot in just even a little closer so you guys can see. I just don't think there's a ton of coverage here. So if you're looking for more of a full coverage foundation, I don't think you're gonna like this. You could see that it did cover up the discoloration though. I can see my redness still on this side. And I mean, you see a little bit of it peeking through. So it almost looks skin-like, to be honest. It's not super matte. There's a little bit of sheen I can see on the high points of my cheeks. But you could definitely see this little guy popping up right here. This is my problem side, so that'll be a little bit more of the, like, test, I guess. But it feels so lightweight, and it's really not sticky at all. I'm gonna just try to build up just a little more right there where I need a little more coverage. I love how this looks with the sponge, though. It looks great. It doesn't want to stick to my nose though, but I have that issue with a lot of foundations. I'm gonna be honest, I actually like how this looks a lot. I think it looks super natural and skin-like. So let's go ahead and quickly do the other side with the brush. So you can see I've got the pimple there on this side. Disregard my hair, I don't know what I was doing. I've got some discoloration here, lots of redness, that guy. And we're gonna go ahead and blend. I like to like kind of stamp rather than drag. I just think it looks a little bit better, less streaky. It doesn't dry down too fast. You can see on this side I worked in sections, but on this side I just went in for it. And it didn't dry down fast, so there's enough working time where you don't have to work in sections, which is nice. I do feel like the brush side is making it look a little more dry than the sponge side, but it did cover up the redness of the pimple, which is nice. It covered up a little bit of the redness on this one. This is a new guy, and it did cover up most of my discoloration right here. I'm gonna go ahead and build it up a little bit like I did with this side. Honestly, I wanna go in and do it with the sponge on this side, but I'll just stick with the brush for the sake of the video. But if I was doing this on my own, I would absolutely go in with the sponge instead of the brush. All right, that layered really well once again. So whether you prefer a brush or a sponge, it will layer just fine. And like I said, I just think that the sponge side, hopefully you guys can see that on camera, looks a little more dewy, which I like. So if you like a little bit more of matte, you might want to go in with the brush, but you could see it really evens me out and just looks natural. It's not too overpowering. So I'm just gonna take my sponge and kind of smooth over the brush side just because I like it, but you can do whatever you like. All right, so one thing I noticed as I was kind of smoothing things out is I feel like my pores are a little more emphasized on the brush side versus the sponge side as well. So yeah, I'm gonna get even closer now so you guys can really see up close. Again, it's not really sticking to my nose. That's pretty typical with foundation with me. So I try to just go in with a little bit less foundation on the nose because it just gets cakey really fast. But I'll do just a quick turn with the sponge side. You can see that sheen. I love that. It just looks like skin. I think it's a very skin-like foundation, and I do want to read you the claims of the foundation so you can see how much the redness has really gone down on this side as well. Hasn't fully covered this guy though, so if you do have a lot of blemishes, you might have to go in with a concealer as well on top of this one. So are there any claims on this? No. Let me just go on the Milani site real quick. All right, so there's 20 shades, which is actually not bad for a drugstore foundation option. Again, I picked up the shade 220, which is towards the light side. I could have probably gone a little bit darker, especially for when I have spray tan on. I should have done that. Don't know what I was thinking, but here's what it says. Our full coverage creamy foundation stick blends seamlessly to cover imperfections and even skin tone. This weightless stick delivers a natural matte finish that lasts up to 12 hours. The transfer and water resistant formula contains bamboo powder to absorb oil and lily extract to lighten the look of pores. So, I don't think this is super matte. I think it definitely has a healthy glow to it, which I really like. And I don't think it's full coverage. Maybe this is full coverage to some people, but I have a lot more foundations that can get a lot more full coverage than this. But I did build it up, and it was like, I'd say this is a high medium, but full coverage, especially on first application, I don't think so. So let's go ahead and move on to the next product, which is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer. So this is what it looks like, and I picked up the shade 125 Light Natural. That is a quick swatch to show you what it looks like. Once again, I feel like it is pulling a little bit pink. Immediately, I didn't even smell it up to my nose. It reminds me of what the Wet n Wild concealers kind of smell like. A little bit less of that like paint smell, but it definitely feels like that. And the wand itself is very, very flimsy. So I'll just show you. It has a lot of give to it. So this is available in 18 shades, and it says it's a creamy, full coverage, water resistant makeup that instantly conceals and lasts up to 12 hours. Perfect for concealing under eye circles, blemishes, and skin discoloration. Formula contains vitamin E to help replenish skin's moisture and is available in 18 shades. So if you know me, I have like super finicky under eyes. I have very select concealers that work for me, so I'm hoping this will work. And I'm not gonna go in and do like the whole like triangle. I just don't like how that looks, so I'm gonna start with that. And then I'm not gonna use a brush under my eyes. I would never do that, so I just don't want to. So I'm gonna just take my beauty blender . Normally I prefer to hold a compact up really high and blend that way so I could see what I'm doing, but if I do that on camera, you guys won't be able to see how it's blending out. Oh, I really like that a lot. That's actually really full coverage for a drugstore concealer. That looks bomb right now. We'll see how it lasts. I'm definitely already getting creasy in my fine lines, but I always do. I mean, I have a fine line that goes right through, so it's gonna crease no matter what. So let me just quickly blend this side out. I don't really spot conceal around my face with concealer, but we will try both of these since it is a pretty good skin tone kind of concealer for me. But let me just get really close so you guys can see. Now, I don't have like huge discoloration under my eyes. I just have really fine lines, but I think that actually looks really, really good. It's not super matte. It's not super dewy. Again, it's kind of like a satin finish. Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. I'm gonna let it sit for a while we work on the rest of the little blemish areas. So I'm gonna take that right on that guy, right on that guy, right on that guy, right on that guy. Put a little too much there, but I just got foundation on Stanley's little whisker. My cat always sits right here when I film if you're new to my channel. But yeah, I'm gonna actually just pop a little right there because I'm pretty red. And there, because we're going all out right now, I guess. So for the little blemish areas, I'm just gonna lightly take the tip of my sponge. Already, I don't love that at all. For spot concealing those, it's just too pink. Looks good under my eyes, but on my face, it's too pink. So wouldn't recommend for spot concealing if you get one of like the pinker shades like I did, and I should have known better because it's gonna brighten a bit. But yeah, I don't think it does too much for me, at least, for spot concealing those pimples. I don't think it added anything, and I just wouldn't take the time to do it. But I always set my under eyes, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It didn't say online if it was a self-setting formula, so I'm just gonna take my Charlotte Tilbury powder. I'm gonna take a mixture of 1 and 2 and set them. All right, you guys, so this is what the face looks like. I like how this looks a lot right now, so I'm hoping it lasts all day. I'll just give you a quick little turn. You can see it doesn't look super matte on my face, like, at all. I don't know if that had something to do with the primer or just my skin. I don't have oily skin at all. If I had to classify, I would classify myself on the drier side, but I'm pretty normal. So I am going to film another video using all Milani products. That was kind of the point of this video. I just want to get a separate video out there just for the foundation and concealer so I can give you a really nice review. So it is 11 o'clock right now, and I will come back later this evening. I'll do a check-in if I can, but I'm gonna leave this on all day and see how it holds up. I have a slight feeling that it might not hold up all that well because that's what I hear about stick foundations, but like I said, I don't have a stick foundation and I haven't used one. So I will meet you guys back here either for a check-in, or I'll meet you back here around 5 or 6 or something like that to tell you guys how it wore. All right, you guys, we are sitting just over that 3.5 hour mark at this point. It's 2:30, so I am really impressed with this at this point in time. So I have been outside. It is a very cold day in Chicago. It's snowing and it's icy and it's super, super cold, and this is holding up super well. Definitely transfer proof. I've had a hat on, like a beanie, not transferring at all, but I do think it did oxidize. I feel like it looks a little bit darker than it did earlier, so keep that in mind. If you're going to buy this, you might want to go a shade lighter, keeping oxidation in mind. I think that my under eyes are holding up so well. A lot of times my concealer will kind of start to lose coverage throughout the day, and this isn't at all. I feel like the 3.5 hour mark, 4 hours, George, is typically when my face products start to kind of go downhill if they're going to, but I think that this is holding up super, super strong. I'm looking into a mirror, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm looking down. I'm also filming on my iPhone 8, and I am sitting in front of a very large window, so you guys can kind of get a different view and see it for what it's worth. So overall, very impressed. I'll probably wear this for about 3 hours, maybe 4 more hours, and then I will check in with you guys and give you my final thoughts. All right, you guys, it is now 5:29 p.m. So the foundation's been on for about 6.5 hours, and this is what we are looking like. I'm gonna be honest, I think this looks so good for being a stick foundation and having worn it for 6.5 hours in the freezing cold. I've walked George 2 times outside. I've edited videos. I've cleaned the house. I've been like this. I watched TV. I ate popcorn, and I am not one of those dainty girl popcorn eaters. I'm a let me shovel this into my face as much as possible. So let me get real close here so you guys can see what we're working with 6.5 hours in. This is the skin. There's a couple changes since the last check-in. I feel like it's rubbed off a bit on my chin, so I can see some redness peeking through here, and the same thing on the side of my face right here. But these are the 2 areas that I touched the most, and I got a lot of kisses from George where he was like kissing my lips and kissing my chin a little bit. George is my dog, by the way. Anyway, it's held up so nicely around my nose. Usually that's the first area to get really cakey on me, and my smile lines, I am still baffled at how good they look. That is typically the first place to crease besides my under eyes, and they look fantastic. It's still holding up really nicely on my cheeks. Now, like I said before, I can see a little caking in this area, so maybe I just need to use more of a pore perfecting primer. I think that's mainly why it's breaking up. It's kind of sinking into my pores. Nose looks great for what it's worth. I always kind of have cake nose when I put on foundation, so I try to, like I said in the video, just apply a little less foundation there. Forehead looks fantastic, and overall I'm just very impressed with how this performed on my skin. As for the concealer, I am also extremely impressed. Like I said, my concealer, I start to kind of lose coverage as the day goes on typically, but with this, it's holding up so nice. It still looks really concealed, slightly cakey in the inner corners. That's my only complaint, but that may have been me powdering a little bit too much when I went to set it. So maybe I'll try not setting this next time and see how it holds up. Of course, it's sinking into those fine lines, but that's always going to happen to me. I've got fine lines under my eyes, and that's just what it is. So overall, I am extremely impressed with these two. I also think having a stick foundation in my collection is going to come so in handy. If I didn't set my face, I could just touch up. Having this on the go would be so nice. So if you're interested in picking these up, I do recommend this if you have a skin type like me. With that said, like I stated in the beginning, what works for me very well may not work for you. Everybody has different skin, and I know a ton of people love the liquid form of this, and I just didn't like it. Well, I hated it, then I liked it, then I hated it again. So what works on me might not work for you. I just wanted to tell you guys what I thought of this, and I like it. So if you guys wanted to pick this up, they're on MILANI.com right now. I will link it down below. Hopefully they will be in drugstores soon, like Ulta and CVS. I think this is only at CVS. I don't think Walgreens has Milani, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm happy I was able to try this out, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, as always, please leave them below. Otherwise, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you made it this far, leave me a heart emoji below. That's like my most used emoji, because when I go through foundation like reviews and a wear test and initial thoughts, like I know I can talk, so I'm sure this is going to be a long video. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in seeing any more videos from me, please subscribe. It means the world, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.